Hey, everybody. And today's episode, what I want to specifically talk about is how to get a specific content piece to rank on the first page of Google. At the outset, that sounds really simple. It sounds like something everyone already knows. What we're talking about is a lot of content that is written out there. Websites and businesses just put the content out and kind of see what happens. Let's see if this content ranks for anything. And if it does, that's great. However, what I specifically want to talk about is how do we get a certain piece of content to rank on the first page of Google for the keywords that mean the most to us. There are times when just randomly throwing out content and ranking for keywords is great, but there are also many occasions where that is not good enough. As a marketing team, you know there are keywords and audiences you are trying to reach. And so this vague, imprecise way of publishing content will not cut it. You need to get to a certain first page of Google because your competitors are there, your executive team is eyeing that keyword or that first page result, and they want you there. Well, that's what I'm talking about today, is how do we get onto a specific keyword's first page of Google? Essentially, there's going to be a lot of different SEO concepts that you may have already heard about, but a lot of them are talked about in a much more academic sense. I'm going to hopefully just define those definitions, but really what I care about is you walking away with understanding how to do this, essentially. So first things first, let's talk about keyword research. I think everyone already knows that, so I'm going to go over that one really quickly. If you're at this stage where you're trying to get a content piece onto the first page of Google, or essentially you're trying to get your own website on the first page of Google, you probably have already identified the keyword. You've already researched, your team has found it, and you already know that this keyword has volume. It is something that is achievable, and it is something that you want to rank for. That's the first thing. But the second part is now the most important part. So you've done your keyword research. You know the keyword that you're trying to rank for. The second part is the most important to me, and I think this is where everybody gets it wrong. It's search intent. Search intent in SEO is one of the most undervalued aspects of SEO campaigns that I think gets in the way of most SEO campaigns. I want to really stay here and talk about search intent because even as an SEO myself, I did not truly understand SEO intent or search intent for a long time. I think this is what we really need to talk about. When it comes to search intent, my knee-jerk reaction to hearing about search intent was like, oh, yeah, duh. It's the concept that when people are searching for a certain keyword, there's an intent behind the way that they're searching for it. A really common example is like pizza near me. If someone's Googling pizza near me, they're probably looking for a pizza shop that's close to them so that they can order. Everyone understands that concept. You went to school or you took some marketing class and you know that concept. However, that is more of a general concept of intent. When it comes to SEO, search intent is a very specific way of analyzing SEO that I think goes beyond what I just defined. Search intent in SEO takes it about a step or two further. When someone Googles something, they will be returned 10 plus results from Google. Where search intent comes to play is what is Google understanding the search intent of that keyword query. So here's where I really want to slow down. When you Google something, Google will dictate essentially what they think that search intent of that keyword is. So let me give you a really specific example. This will probably cut through what I'm trying to define. There was a campaign years ago that I was working on, and it was just a local neighborhood dentist who wanted to rank for dentist keywords in their local city. However, one of the keywords that they wanted to rank for was cavity. Makes sense to me. The intent of someone Googling cavity is probably that they have one and that they're trying to get it fixed. However, if you were to Google cavity right now, the first 10 results that popped up are not local dentists. It is articles about what a cavity is. So I remember very vividly the articles that were on the first page were like Colgate, which had written an article about what a cavity was, how they form, the symptoms of a cavity, just a ton of information about what a cavity was. And that was all the first 10 results. And that's where search intent is different from the general buyer intent concept that most people know. In SEO and Google, you are playing in Google's arena. And so in that sense, when you Google a keyword, it is not actually the intent that you believe a user has when they're Googling that keyword. It is the intent that Google believes that keyword has. So in this case, again, a dentist has every right to believe that if someone's Googling cavity, that they are looking for someone to help remedy the cavity. However, in search intent, Google does not see it that way. Google returns 10 results that talk about what a cavity is. So it's not necessarily that they're trying to find a dentist. They're just trying to better understand what a cavity is. So in this case, to kind of round out the example, search intent is more about what Google believes the intent of the keyword is. And that's the key to succeeding in getting content on the first page, not what your marketing team and your own marketing research has led you to believe about a certain keyword. It is what Google wants to deliver to someone searching for that keyword. So let's take a pause there. I kind of want to take a step back. That's a lot of information. Let's now talk about what that means for SEO purposes. So what this means for SEO purposes is, in this case, the dentist, going back to that same example, he wanted to rank for cavity. However, if Google believes the search intent of a keyword is just about the information articles, you cannot force your way onto the first page with something that does not fit the intent that Google has set. So again, Google has set the search intent based on our Google search that if someone Googles cavity, it's articles about what a cavity is, not about local dentists in the area. So in this case, even though the dentist and the marketing team has full belief that this person looking for cavity is looking for a dentist, Google doesn't believe that. And you cannot SEO force your way to tell Google, like, I know you think this, but we have so much SEO metrics and links that we're going to force our way up there. It doesn't really work that way. At a certain point, how I'd like to say it is Google has a roster of the first 10 positions, and they sent the intent on what those positions will be. And then they fill those positions based on the highest metrics or the best experience for that website or page based on the intent. So again, of all the what is cavity articles, they're going to compare them, see how many metrics coming in, who has the best on-page experience, and then rank the top 10. Your dentist website that's talking about the services you provide in your local area does not fit that intent, so you will not be evaluated. So I hope that pretty much makes sense in that search intent takes buyer intent that we understand from marketing concepts 2 steps ahead, where now it's not what you and your research believe. It is what Google has defined as the search intent for a keyword. And that's where success of content and SEO come to play. You need to understand how Google is interpreting a keyword and match their search intent. There's no real room for interpretation here or creativity or brute force. Google has to control the narrative on the first page of results, and you have to play in that arena. So to validate that conversation, let's now talk about cavity again and how we would play in that arena. If you wanted to rank for cavity, the way that you could go about that then is your website then would need to write an article about what is a cavity. And that's how you would play with search intent. You would then write an article called What is a Cavity? Essentially, you could use Brian Dean's skyscraper technique, identify all the first page results that also talk about what is a cavity, and then make sure your article matches, the experience, the thoroughness, the breadth of all the topics you're talking about, matching whoever's already there. And then, of course, you would need to start link building to that article. Right? So the success of getting content onto the first page is about precision. And the precision comes from being able to analyze the first page results, seeing who's there, what the patterns are, and then matching that pattern. No brute force, no creativity, no thinking outside the box of maybe I can change things up. You need to match the searcher's intent. As I move away from the searcher's intent conversation, I want to just kind of finalize saying the key to understanding searcher's intent is your mind will naturally jump to think it's buyer's intent, which is a very valid marketing concept, but in SEO, searcher intent has a very functional difference than the more academic understanding of buyer's intent. Now, let's talk about, okay, you now know the patterns on the first page of Google. Now you want to write a piece and you know what piece to write. And so what we would recommend to our clients here is, now that you looked at the first page results, let's identify the piece that we can write there as well. So the what is a cavity is, to continue the example, we know that on the first page of Google for cavity, all the results there are articles about what is a cavity. So we would need to write our own to play in that arena. A natural question does come up. Well, this neighborhood dentist, do they really want to rank globally or nationally for what is a cavity? Because if this dentist was located in Georgia and someone from New York found the article, what benefit does it have for them? That's a really valid strategic question. And I think that's where the search intent has its pros and cons, in that the pros are that it tells you and kind of cuts through all the noise of precision of, hey, this is what the first page results are, and you're going to have to play in this arena. However, sometimes a search intent can make a keyword that seemingly makes complete sense for your business make absolutely no sense in the SEO game. In this example for the dentist, even though cavity as a word has complete relevance to a dentist, from an SEO perspective, it had no relevance, and we moved away from that keyword. So what does this mean day to day? When it comes to doing your SEO campaigns, when you do keyword research, it is extremely important to vet the keywords beyond just your keyword research tools. So if you're using Ahrefs, SEMrush, Google Keyword Planner, you will stay on these software kind of interfaces and be pulling, exporting Excel sheets, analyzing them. One of the big pitfalls that we have encountered ourselves, and even amongst other people, is, have you Googled the keyword or seen what's on the first page results? That is one of the more important ways to vet a keyword. I can speak for a lot of SEO campaigns that we have come into where we've been asked, hey, SEO hasn't been working for us before. Can you come in? We want a new team to take a look at things. One of the main things that we see as an issue is that the client was targeting keywords that made business sense empirically, but the SEO first page results, they were never going to get because they just weren't search intent wise relevant to their business and or way too difficult. All right. So when it comes to search intent and how that can influence your day to day, when it comes to keyword research, make sure you are Googling those keywords and make sure that they make sense. I'll use a different example because I'm sure everyone's annoyed by the cavity example. We had two clients in completely different industries have a keyword they were both going for. This keyword was called CAD. CAD was an acronym for Computer Aided Defense. So in engineering, it's computer aided design. In public safety, it's computer aided defense. In health-wise, it's something different. We had two mutual clients, completely in two different industries, that had listed CAD as something that they wanted to rank for. CAD only pretty much shows up for the engineering side of things, computer aided design. For our public safety client, even if they want to rank for that term, the search intent was not based on public safety. It was based on engineering. Therefore, the keyword made no sense. And that is a great example of one that we had actually dealt with, where we had to tell a client, even though day-to-day jargon or nomenclature for your business, it makes sense, search intent-wise, it does not. And so to kind of loop back to keyword research, that's where search intent does infect keyword research. Now, let's get back on track to the main conversation I want to have today, which was, how do we get a content piece onto the first page of Google for a specific keyword? You probably can kind of already deduce where I'm going with this, is if you've identified a keyword that you're trying to rank for, look at the first page results and see the pattern. However, here's where it can get a little complicated. This is more so up to you, but these are the different workflows or kind of decision-making processes that my team makes. We'll look at the first page results, and often what we'll find is the first 10 are a different mixture of things, i.e. for cavity, there could be 4 articles about what is a cavity, 2 articles about the best way to fight against a cavity. It could just be about the best products to buy to fight cavities. So in that case, there is no clear cut one way. There's 3 different ways that we can go about. There's the one that's about products, there's about what is, and there's also fighting against it. What we like to do as a company is identify the patterns, and we now know, okay, there's 4 articles, all were about what is. That means Google is leaving the most space on the first 10 results for the what is. That gives us the highest chance of getting on the first page because there are more spots for what is as opposed to the other 2, which was products to fight cavities, the best way to fight cavity as an informational article. So what we like to do in those situations is identify the patterns on the first page, what has the highest frequency, and then we'll go for that, right? So in that case, it's all about precision, finding the exact article that gives you the best percentage chance of getting on the first page based on the patterns there. Now, it's just going to get more and more complicated, but I kind of really want to flesh this out. The next thing that we also analyze is the off-page SEO or off-site SEO aspects of things. In short, link building and referring domains. Another thing that you do want to analyze is these first page results. Based on the patterns, what are the general SEO link metrics? So for example, if a lot of articles are what is articles, what we like to analyze is, can we write a what is article, but also what does the link spread look like? At Zupo, we use referring domains more so. What is the referring domain spread? What we mean there is we could write this article and that's great. However, if all the first page competitors who rank with this article have 500 referring domains each and we have 0, it may not be a great target for us because even though we know the exact intent, the link spread is massive. And that's where also a lot of SEO campaigns that we've been brought into have made huge mistakes. A lot of people are like, hey, we get the search intent. We could write a better piece than what's on the first page. However, link building is still extremely important. And if your link spread is massive, where all the first page competitors have these humongous referring domain portfolios or link portfolios, and you have almost nothing, and you do not have the means to catch up with them, then that piece may also not be a good piece to go for your company. And that's where the whole keyword difficulties and competitives kind of come into play. What I want to warn some people listening to this about is I have heard content teams and clients say, well, we'll just write a better piece. When your link spreads and referring domain spreads are that large, it doesn't really matter. I think the readability and the thoroughness of a piece is just one part to play, part of a bigger rank factor algorithm perspective. I really believe that if your piece truly reads better, it only will make the difference if your off-page SEO or your links and referring domains is comparable to first-page competitors. That's when the readability or the authenticity of your writing will make the difference. If you do not have the link metrics yet, it will not make the difference. All right. So that's where, when it comes also to evaluating an opportunity, is yes, we identified the pattern. We know the content piece that we can write, but can we link build and do we have the resources to drive that to the first page, right? So this begs the question now, a lot of these different things, like keyword research, search intent, identifying patterns, writing the content piece, and link building. But now let's take a step back. Let's say, hey, you've identified the pattern, you've written the content piece, and you're comfortable with the link spread of, oh yeah, we can link build to that piece and we know that we can match whoever is already on the first page, right? Let's say that you've done all of that and you have found your targets. What naturally comes up for a lot of businesses is, hey, we've identified the piece. We already have content about this topic. Should we write a new one or just refurbish an old one? My recommendation and the way we execute things, again, it all comes down to the intent of the article. If you can refurbish an article to match the intent of what's already on the first page of the search intent again, then yeah, refurbish. That's fine. We're a big fan of that. Let me give you a very specific example. And again, I'm going to go back to the cavity. If you see on the first page all the articles about what is a cavity, and let's say you have an article on your website that says, these are the 10 best ways to prevent cavities. They talk about cavities. They're both blog posts. They're both informational articles. They should be fine, right? No. Search intent I want you to think of these things as non-flexible as possible. It is extremely strict. You need to write a what is a cavity article. So when it comes to refurbishing, it is not good enough that your blog post or article talks about the general topic. Your article, title-wise, format-wise, and structure of the piece need to match what the intent is. So your title cannot be top 10 ways to fight cavities. It needs to become what is a cavity. So what we will do with clients is refurbish the article to take the content and paragraph and move it around so that it is essentially what is a cavity article. And that's where SEO and content becomes non-creative. The blueprint is there on the first page. You need to match it. This is not the time for creativity. This is the time for follow the blueprint, be thorough, and match the search intent, and then start link building to it. That's the way you get content on the first page. And this is also a little frustrating and where a lot of teams get it wrong. They see the blueprint, and I get it. A lot of writers, content teams, or marketing teams, they don't want to be pigeonholed. I'm in marketing. I'm here to be a creative. Let me take the blueprint and innovate. What I encourage a lot of the content teams we work with is it is not the time for creativity. We need to follow the blueprint because that's what we call the priority URL. This is our ticket, the vehicle to the first page. And so if you're worried about your teams being able to be flexible and creative, what I tell a lot of teams is for this piece specifically, we are going to be extremely strict with the outline. Any other piece, be creative, but because this piece is for SEO purposes, we cannot have you innovate or reinvent the wheel. Follow the outline. All right. So again, when it comes to you have content and you can refurbish it, you can, as long as the refurbished final product ends up looking like with the intent, title-wise, structure-wise, outline-wise, like all the other first page competitors. And if you're wondering, well, it looks the same, and how would a robot kind of generally understand? The way I evaluate if the intent is there is often for our clients, I am not educated in their industry, so I don't really know. And if I can do a quick scan and say, yeah, these two articles are comparable, I think it's good enough for me. And as I say that, I kind of want to be even more specific. When you're trying to match search intent, that is not the time to be essentially overly forgiving. I'd say your article, just be safer than sorry and be as exact as possible to the first page competitors in terms of structures, headings, outlines, and titles. This is the time to not play guessing games because it is your vehicle. And one of the ways that I also want to talk about this is we have had instances where we have had a client have a piece get to the second page of Google. Hey, great article, great piece. We've been link building and it got to the second page of Google. Even though it does not match the first page intent. All the first page players have a what is article, and then our client for some reason has a 7 ways to do this kind of article. So it's not really about what is, it's more about tactics. What I would tell you is even though you're on the second page, you probably will not get onto the first page. The roster slots for search intent on the first page are 1. On the second page, it can be different. And so what we've done before, and I've made this mistake with our clients, is, hey, we're on the second page, so we're close. Let's just brute force our way to the first page. And if we just link build more than any other first page player, even though we don't match the first page intent, Google will see we have more links. That is not generally the case. I have seen it happen before where we have eked onto the first page, the 9th or 8th spot, and then fall back off and then fall back in. What we have found with our clients is the best strategy and the most assured is just follow that intent. Even if your article is on the second page, if it doesn't match the intent, the most you will go, the ceiling you will hit is that second page and maybe to the bottom of the first page for a couple weeks. In actual practice, that has what has happened to us. However, when we made that pivot to say, you know what, we're tired of the ceiling being the second page, let's scrap this piece, write a piece that matches what's already on the first page, we have seen better results come in from that because we match the intent of the first page and we go right to the first page. Of course, it's not overnight, your best bet is to match. Don't fall into the whole on the second page, third page. That's essentially SEO sunk cost. The likelihood that you will not hit the first page is really high, and you just don't want to fall into that trap. Now, the last thing I also want to go over when it comes to search intent, which is a little bit more common that's discussed, and this is the reason why I didn't talk about it as much earlier, is because I think most people already know it. It is informational, transactional, or what I call commercial. These are the two main different search intents that are known. I think there are other ones, but I think you can really boil it down to these two in most cases. Yes, in some industries, it can branch off to other intents. However, in the B2B day-to-day that our team faces, we mostly see informational or commercial, or some people call transactional. What this industry calls transactional, our internal team calls commercial. When it comes to search intent, what we've also seen is, let's say the first page results are all informational, and Cavity is a really good example. Cavity, they're all what is articles. Let's say you sell a toothpaste. You think to yourself, well, I sell a toothpaste and we fight against cavities. Maybe we can rank on the first page, not for a what is article, but our product page. And that's a very common request we get from a lot of marketing teams, is we want to rank for this keyword and it needs to be this specific page. It's the exact same thing I just spoke about, as you can imagine. The intent has to match. So earlier we said the articles need to be a what is. In this case as well, you can now force your way to rank a transactional or commercial page, in this case a product or service page, onto the first page of Google if all the first page results on Google are informational. I won't belabor the point too much, because I think it is very similar to what I just spoke about, is that the intent needs to match. Now, let's say it is commercial intent or transactional intent and it's flipped. All the first page results are transactional. Same thing applies. You cannot write an informational piece and think that you will brute force your way onto a Google search result, first page results that is all transactional based on the first page, right? It's all about matching that intent. And so from a holistic perspective, you need to match, is it transactional? Is it informational? Once you pass that level, so let's say in this case, we figured out the first page is informational, you now need to take that search intent to another level. Is what is the type of articles that they are ranking in this informational case? And in this case, for the informational, what we need to, the Cavity one I talked about, what is articles is the highest frequency. So that's the way to go. So search intent also has layers. It has transactional, informational. I'm sure there's other ones. I would say 80% of the time you're going to deal with informational or transactional. And then when you go into those, you will then also need to understand, can I rank the intent of the pages that are there? There is a transactional example I will also give as well. This is one that we're still dealing with to this day, and I don't have any resolute answers. However, there is a client that we worked with that sold a certain product. And this product was historically hardware. And the client was selling a software-based product that was not hardware anymore. So essentially it was innovation. And we wanted to rank on the first page for a keyword that is transactional, but historically has only ranked hardware providers. So when we Googled the term, of the 10 slots, 9 of them were all transactional and hardware-based. However, they did rank one of our competitors, and it was software-based. And so we had more confidence that we could rank our clients for that keyword because there was a competing player on there who already was ranking on the first page and was software-based. However, we were fighting for one slot at the time. Yes, Google could update its search intent over time and make room for more software-based ones, but you never want to base a strategy on, maybe Google will update in the future. We had to do what the patterns were at the moment, 9 hardware, 1 software-based, right? So in that case, we had more confidence, right? That's where in transactional, the intent of the page also matters in that case, right? Another good example is we have had an SEO campaign where we were trying to rank a course for one of our clients. And the client didn't have the course listed on their website yet. They were still in development. So all the first page competitors had, a page listing all the different courses that were available. And we were talking with our client that the best chance to guess that first page is that we also need to list your course out as well. So even though it's not done yet, can we at least put the class information on there so that the intent of the page transactionally matches the other transactional pages that are already on the first page of Google? So there is importance to matching your page that you're trying to get onto the first page intent-wise to what's already on the first page. So again, the theme of today's episode really is, hey, there's search intent. I think we all think we understand it, but when you really drill down, it is the key to how to get your business to the first page. And it's all about analysis and precision. What is the intent? Informational, transactional. Once we drill down to informational or transactional, what are the types of pages that are ranking on the first page? And do we have a page that matches what they're already showing? If I had to oversimplify today's conversation, what I just said is essentially what you need to do. I already said the last thing I want to say, but one last thing did come to my mind and I did want to share it. There are times when actually you can power through search intent, and we've had this experience before as well. If a keyword has a very low difficulty, we use Ahrefs for our keyword difficulty scores. We have found if a keyword has a very low difficulty, we think like 5 and under, you can power through and rank whatever you want onto the first page more often. Not always, but more often. The more competitive keyword is, the less likely you can do that. So for our team, if we find a keyword group that has a very low difficulty, we will always try to match the search intent, but we will tell the client that there may be a chance that we don't need to match the search intent. However, in most cases, the safest way for you to go is to just match the search intent. And I want to remind everyone, we are talking about SEO. So you do not want to spend 6 to 9 months getting a page to the second page of Google only to figure out, oh, you don't match the search intent on the first page. Let's scrap it after rewrite a piece that matches the first page intent. That is a big waste of time. So that is why I tell clients when it comes to search intent, let's just match it. To be safest, SEO takes a while. Let's match the search intent. Let's make sure that we are understanding what's going to take the first page, write our own page that matches and addresses all of that so we can give ourselves the least riskiest route to get to that first page. And that's where search intent really comes to play. Again, I think a lot of teams understand it academically and conceptually, but when it comes to actual execution, as you can tell, getting content on the first page of Google comes down to search intent. And I think that's where most people get it wrong. Yes, there's the link building. Yes, there's the content writing, the technical sides of SEO, page speed, loading time, mobile friendliness, et cetera, et cetera. But I think the major issue that most people don't notice that they're running into is that search intent aspect. All right. So hopefully that was helpful in terms of just understanding SEO concept. Search intent to me is the key for a lot of SEO campaigns. So if you have any questions about search intent and I didn't answer them, I know I was talking a lot of generalities and examples. I'm happy to kind of discuss it more. Feel free to reach out to our team at Zupo. We can discuss it more. Search intent is a very important aspect of the way we do things. So again, if you have any questions, just feel free to reach out. Thank you for listening to, one of our first solo episodes. I really like the concept of solo episodes because yes, we're bringing in guests, but of course, Zupo and myself, the Technical Marketing Podcast is run by an agency that specializes in SEO. We have a lot of great SEO nuggets to share as well. And I want to make sure that we don't forget to share some of the SEO knowledge in lieu of inviting guests. So yes, we're going to have our guests, but again, we will always have these solo episodes. I'm thinking every 3 to 5 episodes to kind of just make sure I'm allowed to share some of the SEO knowledge and insights that really help our campaigns to you, the listener. So again, thanks for listening to this solo episode, and I'll catch you in the next one. Thanks, guys.